Right, hello everyone. Welcome to today's session on understanding diabetes and getting started with the program. So my name's Sasha. I'm going to be your health coach throughout the entire program. So before we get started, pause the video and spend a couple of minutes writing down everything you know about diabetes, the side effects, how it's caused, the tests you may have to take, and the actual figures and readings. After you've done that, spend a little bit of time also what you want to achieve by the end of the program. What do you want to get out of this? We're all completely different, so there's no right or wrong answers here. After you've done, unpause the video and then we'll continue. At the start of every single session, I'll be displaying and listing out the topics we'll be discussing. So for today's agenda, we're understanding what diabetes is and the importance of blood glucose, risk factors for diabetes, an introduction to portion sizes, ways to self-monitor your progress, health values, taking your measurements, and at the end, goal setting and motivation. Hope you look forward to joining this course with me. You may be wondering, what is blood glucose? Blood sugar level refers to the amount of glucose in the blood, sometimes known as blood glucose. Diabetes can be diagnosed by measuring the amount of glucose in the blood via a test known as the HbA1c test. Prediabetes means the levels are higher than normal but not high enough to be classified as type 2 diabetes. Some of you may have a diagnosis of prediabetes based on your annual health checkup. If you haven't got it through there, you can request a HbA1c test from your GP if you're considered high risk of developing type 2 diabetes, based on a tool from the NHS, Know Your Risk. Alternatively, it's usually completed as part of your annual health checkup if you're over the age of 40 years old. So, HbA1c, what is it? HbA1c is a measure of glucose in your blood over the previous 3 months. So look on the screen now. What you see on the screen is a range of pre-diabetes. If you had a HbA1c test or plan to have one, you may want to make a note of these ranges so you can understand your result just a little bit better. If you have any queries about your blood sugar test, please speak to your GP, diabetes nurse or pharmacist. Also put a comment down below. So anything below 42 mmol is basically normal. Anything above 42 to 48 is pre-diabetes. So just for further awareness, fasting plasma glucose, also known as a FPG, a finger prick test that you can do at home. A normal range is from 3.9 to 5.4. Pre-diabetes is 5.5 to 6.9, and diagnosis of diabetes is 7 and above. I'm going to play a short video for you now, which helps to illustrate how the body uses glucose and insulin. It will also explain a little bit about what's going on when it comes to being diabetic.
What is diabetes? Diabetes is a condition that causes sugar in the form of glucose to accumulate in the blood, rather than being used as fuel by the body cells. When we eat, our digestive system breaks food down into nutrients, which are then absorbed to be used in our bodies. Carbohydrate-containing foods like starches and sugars are broken down into glucose. Glucose is an important source of fuel in our bodies. To be used for fuel, glucose must enter our cells. The pancreas releases a hormone called insulin, which signals cells to allow glucose to enter. After a meal, blood glucose levels rise. Insulin is released into the bloodstream and triggers cells to open their glucose channels to allow glucose to enter and be converted into energy. In type 2 diabetes, the cells become resistant to insulin and ignore its signal to absorb glucose from the blood. This is known as insulin resistance. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas is unable to produce the greater amounts of insulin needed to trigger resistant cells to absorb glucose, and becomes worn out over time. The most common symptoms of diabetes are frequent urination and excessive thirst. And other symptoms include weakness, drowsiness, and blurred vision. Over time, high blood glucose damages the blood vessels and the organs that these supply. Microvascular damage, or damage to the small blood vessels, causes vision problems including blindness, nerve damage, and kidney damage. Macrovascular or large blood vessel damage can lead to cardiovascular complications like heart disease, strokes, and poor circulation, resulting in slow wound healing and even amputations. Overweight and inactivity are major causes of type 2 diabetes. A family history increases your risk of developing the disease. Certain ethnic populations are also at increased risk. Finally, some medications may increase your diabetes risk. These include corticosteroids, thiazide diuretics or water tablets, some drugs used to treat mental illnesses, and some antiretroviral drugs.
So, quite a lot of information to take in there. What I'd love us to do is try to remember a few things about the video. So can anyone remember what the hormone was called that is released from the pancreas? Don't pause the video. 3, 2, 1. Can you tell me what it is? Insulin. So the term insulin resistance was used to describe how the cell starts to ignore insulin. What did this make them unable to absorb? Don't pause, don't cheat. 3. Okay, 2. Okay, I've got the answer. Glucose. Glucose. So the cell's unable to absorb glucose, which we normally use for energy. How do we feel after this? Probably feel quite tired. You're right. So can anybody recall any other symptoms? Have a quick little think. Any other symptoms? Well, frequent urination, obsessive thirst, blurry vision, tiredness. Excellent. So we've explained what's happening in the body, but you may be wondering, why is it happening to you? Well, I've got the answers. Firstly, it's important to say that there's a wide variety of risk factors, some which are more modifiable, meaning you can change them, others are a little bit outside of your control. So pause the video and spend about 20 seconds thinking or writing it down. Why do you think you're at risk of being pre-diabetic? So we've got a bit of a quiz actually. Which of the following are risk factors for type 2 diabetes? Is it A, being an individual of higher weight, B, a sedentary lifestyle, C, having type 1 diabetes, D, family history of type 2, or E, too much sleep? You can always pause the video to spend a couple more minutes thinking about what the answers could be. Have a quick little think though. I'll show the answers in 3, in 2, and 1. Here are the answers. So the first two are the two leading causes for being type 2 diabetic. They won't be relevant for everyone here today, but making improvements in these areas is very likely to have to be a priority for you. So, sleep deficiency is linked to many other health complications, including heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, obesity, falls, and depression. Some other risk factors can include certain ethnic or populations, a family history, stress, and certain medications that can cause weight gain. Question number 2. Which of the following are risk factors for diabetes specific to women? Is it A, gestational diabetes, B, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, C, perimenopause and menopause, or D, breastfeeding? Oh, that's hard, isn't it? You might not have heard of all of these before. But I'll show the answers in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. So gestational diabetes is a type of diabetes that develops during pregnancy. It happens because the body cannot produce enough insulin to meet the extra needs of pregnancy, which then results in high sugar levels. Research has shown links between those who have had gestational diabetes are being more susceptible to type 2 diabetes a little bit later in life. PCOS is a condition that affects the ovaries. It is associated with insulin resistance and therefore high levels of glucose. And perimenopause and menopause, changes in the hormones impact insulin sensitivity and can cause trigger fluctuations. This can cause weight gain due to the decrease in energy expenditure. So by starting the program and by watching my video, you have made a fantastic commitment to improving your health, which is just amazing. You have made the first step in a really positive journey. So it's quite helpful at this point to sort of remind yourself what you're safeguarding yourself from. So if you can see the question down below, which of the following are complications of type 2 diabetes? Is it A, cardiovascular disease, B, kidney disease, C, eye problems and blindness, or D, circulation problems? I'll show the answers in 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, it's kind of scary, really. Can you think of any more? Well, some more: slow wound healing, high rate of infections, and amputations. So it's quite unpleasant to think about all this, to be honest. However, it is a good reminder. It's a good reminder that these are the side effects of becoming diabetic. However, there is a lot we can do to put ourselves in the best possible position to avoid having such complications. Equally, if these are things that have already happened to you in the past, you're actively working to prevent them from happening again by participating in this program. Let's think about what's actually in our control and how we can prevent these complications from developing. So you can pause the video and spend a couple of minutes writing down what you think, and then come back when you're ready. So the first one is diet. We get glucose from carbohydrates containing foods. There's plenty of healthy options, but carbohydrates can also make up a lot of our favourite snacks and can be quite easily overconsumed. You don't need to give up everything as part of the program, but it's important to get that balance right. Our next one is managing our health conditions. Why do you think that is? Well, if you're currently taking medications for any other illnesses or condition, it is important to keep on top of this and actually prioritise your appointments to help prevent other health conditions like pre-diabetes. We've got managing our stress levels, so making sure our stress levels making sure our stress levels are low and we get good quality rest is so important, just as important as all the other areas we've just mentioned. Yet, this is actually quite often overlooked. It's important that you find ways of managing stress so it does not negatively impact your health. God, I wish I could speak a bit better though. This is stressful recording this. We've got sleep well. So allowing the body time to rest is key to our survival, just as much as food and water. Sleep can be an area of great difficulty for quite a few people, but there's so many ways to improve this aspect of your well-being. I think you probably guessed the next one. Being active. Eat less, move more. The more we move, and the more we use fuel that we consume and make good use of our energy. This directly helps us to lower our blood glucose levels and increase insulin sensitivity, meaning our cells are getting all the fuel they need. Last but not least, managing your weight. It's important to note that in society there is sometimes an assumption that somebody being overweight is eating unhealthily. This is frequently just not the case, and it could simply be the portions need to be adjusted. This program provides a non-judgmental space for everyone to understand their portions and also acknowledge that is This program provides a non-judgmental space for everyone to understand their portions and also acknowledges that is what is correct for that one person might be different to another based on their lifestyle and needs. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, but we will work out with you to find out what's actually right for you. So, portions, let me just show the screen. Here we go, portions. You can actually get your hands out here. So look at your hands right now. 1 palm carbohydrates, 1 palm protein, and the fingers are vegetables. When you're serving up at meal times, follow your hand size. 1 palm protein, 1 palm carbohydrates, fingers of vegetables. Carbohydrates, they should make up about a quarter of your plate at meal times, but these have a direct impact on your sugar levels, so you have to make sure you're eating the appropriate amounts. It can be helpful to actually maintain healthier glucose levels. Keeping portions in check is actually essential to managing your blood sugar levels. Then we have fruit and vegetables. So half of your plate should consist of fruit and vegetables and salads. Vegetables, well, they're low in calories. They've got loads of microvitamins and minerals. Also, they promote satiety, how full you feel. Last but not least, protein. We love protein. Muscle growth and repair. Well, protein's fantastic as it keeps you fuller for longer. Also, it's slow digestion, so you don't tend to eat as much as you can carbohydrates. Okay, so there's 2 types of carbohydrates. I won't tell you what they are, but can you give me any examples? You can pause the video right now or just shout them out over the screen. Some examples of foods that are high in carbohydrates or sugars. What's come to mind? Bread? Rice? Pasta? Honey? I'll show you now. First off, we have sugars. Sugars can be naturally occurring or they can be added through processing. Then we have starches. Starches are made up of large amounts of glucose. When starches are digested, they have a large impact on your glucose levels. It's important to remember both types of carbohydrates impact your glucose levels. Considering quality and quantity of the carbohydrates you choose will be key into preventing the onset of type 2 diabetes, and we'll expand through the whole program. So we will be looking more at different food groups and portions in future sessions, but it's important to recognise that all of our diets will look different. This could be down to preference, it could be down to our cultural background, but here we have said the same thing twice, but here we have the Western portion plate. So you will notice the portion plate can be replaced by using your hands as another very helpful tool which I showed you earlier. Make sure you're eating the right amounts of each food. Here is a portion plate that reflects the South Asian cuisine. Foods like chapati and lentils and mango. Beautiful. Next is a portion plate that reflects Caribbean cuisine. Foods involving plantain, okra, mangoes, a wide variety of winter squashes, peppers, corn, broccoli, cabbage, tomatoes. Yeah, I'm getting good and hungry now. Finally, we have a portion plate that reflects the African cuisine, including foods like fufu, sweet potatoes, and papaya. As you can see, wherever our cultural preferences for foods, we can recognize them and put them into different category groups. This helps us to understand how much we should be consuming. So our next topic today is values. Pause the video and possibly write down what you think a value is. Once you're ready, return. Well, let me show you the screen now. Our values are basic but fundamental beliefs about what is important to us in life. Values can guide us through what we think, feel, and how we act towards ourselves, others, and towards our goals. Values can help us specify our goals as we choose goals that once we achieve, help us get to where we truly want to be. It's also important to know that our values often shift and change throughout our lifetime, depending on our situation we find ourselves and the experiences we've had. So, just do an example right now. Think to yourself about 5 years ago. What were your values? What were your beliefs? If you can find any differences, this is completely normal and demonstrates how our priorities and what we hold important to us can change. So, have a think to yourself now. What are your values? Perhaps you will share some. But what are your values? Pause the video again, write it down, and come back when you're ready. So knowing your own health values helps to set meaningful goals that you will be motivated to work towards. Ask yourself whether these goals you can see now align with the values you've just identified a moment ago. When you set your goals at the end of the day session, consider what you want to achieve in the long term on this program, and then consider what you want to achieve in the short term in the upcoming weeks to get there. These are your goals. Once you've written down all your goals, make a note of why you want to achieve this goal and why is it important to you. Then these will be your values. Remember that knowing your values can help you to achieve your goals by feeling much more motivated to work towards them. So we've got an example here. You can see goal number 1, I will do something active 3 days a week, such as taking the dog for a walk. Goal 2, I will spend 30 minutes this weekend planning healthy evening meals. And goal number 3 is I'll do something that I enjoy every day, such as reading a book. What do you think the actual value is linking all these together is? Well, have a healthy body and mind. There's 2 types of goals, approach and avoidance. Approach goals involve moving towards the desired outcome, such as I'm going to eat a cup of low-fat yogurt for my afternoon snack. Avoidant goals are moving away from an undesired outcome. I'm not going to eat junk food as a snack. Although these goals appear to be similar in terms of promoting healthy snacking, it's been proven that they have different cognitive and emotional processes that are involved. Approach goals are associated with greater positive emotions, although approach goals are associated with greater positive emotions, thoughts, and self-evaluations, and greater psychological well-being. Avoidance goals are associated with fewer positive thoughts and greater negative emotions. So given these findings, setting approach goals could actually be more helpful than setting avoidance goals for helping people to change their behaviours. So let's try some avoidant goals for approach goals. How can we change these to promote better positive thoughts and behaviour? So the first one is, I won't eat too much food on my plate at meal times. So how can we change that to be a little bit better? I won't add too much food to my plate at meal times. We could say, I will follow the portion plate at meal times. I will have half my plate full of vegetables and salad. I will portion out my food at meal times and put the rest away in a Tupperware to avoid having seconds. I won't sit and think about food. What can we say here? I'll do something productive when I find myself thinking about food. Just get yourself out of the situation. I'll think positively about eating healthy. I'll have a glass of water when I think about snacking, so you feel a little bit fuller. How about the last one? I won't get angry with my family and friends for eating tasty treats around me. Okay. What can we say there? I'll speak with my family about how it feels when they eat tasty treats around me. I will prepare healthy snacks. So, have you heard of SMART goals before? SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. In order to turn long-term goals into reality, we need to break them down into manageable chunks and have a great plan for this. This is the whole purpose of SMART goals. We always encourage you to think about your own personal goals. However, as it is your first session, you may want to do this. Can you move a little bit more? Can you ensure you keep hydrated? Can you make time to relax and de-stress? Can you eat a little bit slower and be more mindful for your food choices? Or can you alter your portion plate or your portion sizes? So one goal we could have is, I want to eat less sugar. So let's have a quick little think to ourselves. How can we make it smart? I'll tell the answer. However, if you want to give it a go by yourself by following what we can see on the screen now, pause the video and then come back when you're ready. So, to make it smart, this is how it will sound. I will reduce the number of teaspoons in my tea from 2 to 1 teaspoons. I will review my progress by next session. That way we've made it specific to me, as I want to reduce my sugar. I made it measurable. I know my time frame and I know how many sugars less I'm putting in. Achievable, I mean, I'm not going bonkers, am I? I'm just taking 1 less sugar. I made it relevant to me, as I want to make the change. My health value is not being diabetic, and also is to reduce my sugar levels, so reducing the amount of sugar I consume will help that. And timely, I know by next session, or the next time you're seeing this video, you'll have to do it. You have to achieve that. So it's so important to always reward yourself for your efforts. This can be a great way to boost your motivation. So here are a few tips you can see now. Remember to reward yourself when we do achieve our goals. Changing our behaviour is so difficult to do. So try to reward yourself at every small little step. It can be helpful to help us stay on track when we celebrate and recognise our achievements and success, and it helps build self-esteem. So if you're going to do a short-term reward, after you walk for 30 minutes, rest for 30 minutes. Mid-term, after achieving my activity goals for a whole month, you go on a nice day out. And long-term, after reaching my weight management goal, I'll treat myself to something special. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to end on this little quote. Starting is the hardest part, but it's also the moment change becomes real. So thank you so much for participating, by taking the time to re-listen to me and understand all the slides I was saying. Hope to see you the next time. I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.